In this video, what I'd like to talk to you about is realms of time. And it's with the S on realms. Yes, we're talking about plural realms. And we're talking about by square footage. Realms of time itself, when time is ticking to the right side, right? It's ticking to the right. If you look at it from straight on. But if you look at it going outward, it's ticking to the left. So if you were looking at it from time, looking at it from its point of perspective view, pointing outwardly, it's ticking to the left. Even though when you look directly at it, it looks like it's ticking to the right. So if we're looking at a clock, Twelve is God's dimension, and 6 is the devil's. 3 is the hottest hour of the day. And 9 is night hour, sleep hour. So 12 is God. Then you got the hottest time of the hour, the hottest time of the day. You have to always be aware of what 3 o'clock will bring you. So you have to be aware of 3. Okay? Because 3 is always the key number. It was 33. Okay? So 3 is a key number. And that's to the drought hour. When it starts to dry everything up, all your harvest goes to waste. And then the 9 o'clock hour, it could bring you cool weather. Okay, so you always have to be aware of 9 o'clock because the dew hour seasons up. You got dew coming in. And it's coming in after 12 o'clock. But it starts at 9 o'clock when the temperatures start to cool down. Okay, this could destroy your crop. And you got God's realm, which is God's realm, the 12th spiritual realm. 12 o'clock in the morning to 3 o'clock is the highest time to be in the spirit realm. It's the number 1 active. And then from 3 to 6 is really demonical. When you can get more of a demonical sense of, no, I would say that all from like 12 to 6, you're in the spirit realm, okay? But this is the highest timing of the spirit realm, between the hours of 12 and 3. You can almost take the veil off and kind of walk into the spirit realm to kind of see what it is, what's occurring. If you ever seen demons between the hours of 12 and 3 to 6 in the morning, okay? It depends on what solstice you're under. The solstice will split the clock. Okay, you got a summer solstice clock and a winter solstice clock. Okay, and they're split differently. Why? Because the times are differently. Creating realms of time. Giving you an experience of seasons. And it changes the realm itself during these seasons. And this will be considered through the weathering system. And even though it appears that it looks like it's ticking to the right? So we're going from 12 to 3 here. But if you're looking at it like you were looking at it through eyes, a person's eyes, you can see you have your lamp lit here, correct? You have a lamp lit here, and it's to the headlamp of God. That's why they call it, what they call it? God's head. Okay? God's head is the spiritual lamp that you have embedded in your forehead. That's why it says the mark will go where? In your hand or your forehead. And then if you were sealed by God, you were sealed in the forehead. So the mark of the beast is going to be stamped right here where it will be 666, the mark of the beast. The chip. Okay? So be aware of that. Be cautious, be aware, because if you do get it, you're done. You're already in the programming system, now you're just going to go into their little metaverse. Okay? And you'll be fully tapped into Satan. It's like a spiritual experience, but not of good. It's all going to be evil. Propagated from the evil. Propaganda. There's no propaganda here. This is a real living agenda. And their plan in effect has gone into effect since, let's say, since 34. When they got out. The shapeshifters. Got out of their location. They're called the reptilians. They're lizards. Okay, they're like chameleons. They can change shapes. They're considered to be the rogue of X-Men. And they had gotten this power. These are half-breeds, though they're not full breeds. This is one of the fallen angels that was down here. This is their children. Okay, that's why he's seen depicted in the Egyptian hieroglyphs. Okay, their father. Why do you think they go to study the site and then they closed it off to public? Because they didn't want the public knowing that there were shapeshifters down here, because the Egyptian hieroglyphs, inside the hieroglyph, will tell you there's damn shapeshifters down here. And there's just giants and Nephilims and stuff down here. So don't tell me, because I looked at the hieroglyphs for myself. And I saw it and scanned it and I seen it. That it was talking about the underworld. What was underneath the earth. And stuff like that. That's the difference. You got the heavens between 9 and 3, you cross it. Just like you're crossing through the eyes. You get a perfect triangle. Okay? On both angles. Which creates what we like to call a diamond. Okay? So now you got a diamond on the field. And it's like the diamonds you love on this earth. You want to put a diamond on her ring, don't you? So the diamond is going to be the number one most precious thing down here. Okay? It is. It's in the cloth itself. So diamonds are going to be the most expensive. Because of the rarity of the diamond. How rare it is to find a location full of diamonds. You give me the probability that you're going to find this type of location, you would find it most likely in what they call the blood diamond location, where you'll die with your blood sacrificed to this diamond. And this would be considered Africa. And this is spoken of in the beginning of the Bible. Spoken with the 4 Pisions and the 4 heads of the rivers. Don't know the exact location. So I would have to come back to you on that, but I can tell you right now, it's probably within the first 2 chapters, or well, 3 chapters of what the heads of the rivers were called. Where there is gold. Okay, Havana. Okay, the Pigeons, here we go. Chapter 2. Verse 10, a river went out from Eden to water the garden. From there it divided and became the source of 4 rivers. Wherever this 4 rivers is located at is the 4 rivers of gold. The 4 rivers of gold. Okay? And they connect to the Garden of Eden. So Eden was a place with a lot of gold. There was a lot of gold in this place called the Garden of Eden. States it. And the name of the first of the Pigeons, which flows through the entire land of Havana, where there is gold. Gold from the land is pure. Palladium and onyx are there also. So these other two that were really high to God's particular statute of line of which the most important resources down here was going to be diamonds, gold, and palladium and onyx. Onyx was going to be another one. And the name of the second river of Gibeon, which flows through the land of Cush. So these rivers were actually connected in Africa somewhere as well. Were they all connected at one point? Where four heads of the rivers had came to one point. Now it'd be where the Garden of Eden was. Because it says it all flowed through one location. But you must not eat from the tree of the knowledge of good or evil, and evil. It says good and evil. It doesn't care if you have the good. It was when you ate of the evil. For on that day you from it will certainly die. So when you ate of the evil, you should certainly die, is what he stated, because all the land would become corrupted. Everything would become corrupted under that data network algorithm of the microbiology of the body. Who cares about the physical part of the body? We're talking about microbiology within inside of the physical structure corrupted now. It's data. It's data network algorithm. What it's designed to freaking do and heal the body, you dumbasses. Get out of here. And the first thing that they wanted to do was the female wanted to get high on drugs. Because that's what the evil tree was. It was poison to the body. It was corruption. Nothing good could come from this besides death. You will die. So it would take your 1,000 years away that you were living close to immortal life down all the way dwindling down to this 70 years now. That's how far you've gone away from the tree of life. You have gone to the gates of death. And you are now facing the gates of death. And this is your provocation for the realms of time you have destroyed. You've destroyed the realms of time you're messing with. So if we're here in this four corners, when you split it, it's the eye to the window of the soul, but also the four corners of the world. Okay? And they say it's the window to the soul because it crosses through the spiritual eye, through the middle of both of your eyes, down through your nostril, which is the breath of life, down to the second part of the breath, which is the first part of the breath of life, which comes from the actual mouth. Okay, so here's the breath of life. Right here, location coming through the center of it, and then also through the center of the second part of the breath of life, which is through the nostril. Okay, and that's considered through the soul, giving it the breath of life because it's a direct line to it. It goes directly to the brain. Is this not correct? And fires up the brain in consciousness. So you got the four corners of the world. North, east, which is northwest here. So you got a compass. Here's how you know you're in the compass. Okay? Very easy to explain. Northeast, southeast, southwest. And there you go. You got your compass between the four corners of the four worlds. And they're four worlds because it's four different splits in time. You have the 6666 hour, okay? 4 sixes on the board. Do I now need 6 here, 6 hours here? Is the difference in location to this hour. Which splits off from, and then this also splits off from day and night. So you got day here, you got night here. Which splits at the 9 and 3. And then you got your 6 hours of moon cycle and 6 hours of the getting ready to rise cycle of the sun. It's going to rise again. That's why they call it the sunrise hour. Usually between the hours of 5, depends on what solstice. That's the matter up to the sun, is you got to understand the solstice. Changes the direction of how it's rising as well. Why? Because it's changing the time of the rise to a different time within the realm. You're going to see the sun rise within time. Changing the view, the image, the imaging system. This is what they were tapping into and destroying right here, this military, with their weapons pointed at humanity. They were destroying the eye to the window of the soul. Within the realms of time, they were destroying time by tampering with it. Using weapons like CERN. Sacrificing children on 9/11. How many children did you sacrifice? Just because you see him as an adult, you still took that child's life. That was once a child. And goes to child, adult, into its grave. Okay? And it only receives the adult part of the life because it's growing in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. That's the point of even getting to an adult's age. Was the development of the growth of the consciousness of the brain. Can you get it to be actively participant? To be a participant. To participate. That's why that's why in class you got graded on participation. Okay, that was one of the active curricular things you need to be doing within the school structure. Was participating. And if you participated when you were called, your name was called. Hey, I need so and so up to the front and write on this chalkboard. Or this dry erasure board. And you would go up there and you would put your answer up there, and even if you got made fun of, you would still be humiliated or you would be congratulated. So you only had 2 options: humiliate the child or to lift it up in spirit because you got the answer correct. Most of them humiliate them. That's what they did to me. And now I can kind of humiliate them. Which is kind of funny. You get the tables turned on them. And then their faces look like their jaws just dropped from their top bone structure of the jaw. Where it sockets in there. And gives you flexibility. And gives you movement within the jaw structure. Depending on how far you're allowed to go with the movement of the jaw structure, depending on the morphing in the shape of your jaw, will determine on what you were considered to be as within the structure of the creation itself. Were you a fish? Some fish can really open up and widen up that mouth. Snakes can do the same. They can disconnect their their bones, and put it back together. You can't do that. Or no, you could, but they call that a dislocated joint down here. So they're dislocating their joints out of place to take in something larger. and then they can re-put the dislocated joint back back into its location. How can you do that? I haven't seen. I mean, unless you can, because you would be considered a shapeshifter at that point, right? You would be considered what we call a half-breed down here, half mortal, half immortal. Was Christ not half man, half mortal, half immortal? Don't even say he was full God, because he was not. You're lying. He was half immortal. He died on the cross. To claim he was a full God would be claim that he took the Father's position and didn't sit at the right-hand side of his Father. And he is the only begotten Son, because God is he only created one down here from his seed. You were considered not of the seed sack of his. The Creator itself, the nut sack that he has carrying on him. You don't think he's got the seed of life too? He's going to produce children. He said it was his only begotten Son, because there was only one Son that was created of the God's seed on the earth, creating him the Son of Man. One. The Son of One is what man stood for. Man was created first, creating him to be one. Then you'd have Eve. Eve, if you add an in, is considered the even. So it's odd and even, 1 and 2s.